The Breaking Through 30/30 show is sponsored by Affinitive LLC. Values and investment advice together at last. Visit us on the web at affinitive.com.
Welcome to Breaking Through. This is our crew. I'm just going to give you a second to say hello before I have you ask your question.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
So Debbie, I'm going to go ahead and have you, if you could just introduce yourself, and at the end of that, go ahead and ask your question for us, and then I'm going to guide them through responses to you to ask some questions.
Okay.
Then we'll be, again, putting you in the breakout room or in the waiting room, and we will create a 30-day action plan for you and bring you back and share it.
So my name is Debbie Sharp, and I have been teaching since 1993. So whether I'm a general ed teacher, a special ed teacher, an early childhood teacher, and I'm also a parent. So, and I was that teacher that stayed till 8 o'clock at night with my families to help them through the special ed process and to teach them, like, this is what's going on and this is what you need to do. And I said things I wasn't supposed to say from my administrators, and I did it anyway. And so when we moved from San Diego to Massachusetts, I didn't want to go back in the classroom. I love just working with my families. And so I started a company. So we moved here 8 years ago, and I started a company 7 years ago called Who's Learning Now? Because so who's learning? The child's learning, the teacher's learning, or the parent's learning. And so what I do is help families through the special ed process, because I feel like you're in a boat in the dark without a rudder. And so you're just lost and confused, and yet you just want the best for your child. And so being in this system, I know what needs to be done. I know that, the system is like, but also I've been in the parent shoes. So like I said, I've held every hat and every role in a special ed at a team meeting, and they're called IEP meetings. So individualized education plan. So I've held every role at that team meeting. And also, like I said, I'm a parent. So my own child has some real significant mental health illnesses. In fact, we were dealing with them some last night. So this is what leads me to my question. So I spent the last year, I reached out to Kate and said, literally 18 months ago, and said, I don't want COVID to go wasted for me. Like, what can I do? And so we just kind of looked at my business at a 10,000 feet. Now she's been in my world for 4 years now. So she knows my business, but just like, what do I need to do? What can I use my time wisely? And so through the last year, I have updated my website, and it's actually working now, and with funnels and all that great. So I've done systems, if you will, right? I've hired an assistant. So she does all my social media. She knows my voice. And I have worked with another strengths person, and we've created this called Strengths Learning Inventory. So I'm super proud of that, because I do believe that everybody has abilities, not disabilities. And so that's kind of where my mission comes from. So we've created this strengths inventory that we've used as now a lead magnet. Oh, and I wrote a book. Right? So I worked with a book coach, right?
You just wasted the last year, Debbie. You just totally
I know,
wasted.
Because what I was finding was I was telling clients would come to me, and I was telling them the same basic information. Do you have your IEP binder? Have you switched your mindset? Just lots of real baseline information. And so I wrote this book called I See You, I Hear You. And it was supposed to be released in March because I was turning 50. That was my goal. It didn't because of some family things. And then it was supposed to be released in May. It's not done yet. So now and really the only one I'm letting down is myself. No one else knew these goals, these deadlines. There's just me. So now it's summer 2021, because again, my daughter's, just so you know, my daughter's been in and out of hospital for severe depression and suicide attempts. So she's 13. So I'm really dealing with that. So here comes the question, right? I am a mom first, right? I love my business and I know it's $1 million business. My question is, how do I bring more money in and how do I make more automatic so that I can still meet my $1 million goal and be famous? Like, I want people to know, like, when they think of special education or the education and seeing kids for their abilities, I want them to think of Debbie Sharp, like a Brene Brown or a Tony Robbins in their right field. You know what I mean? Like, those are famous people in my eyes, and so that's what I want.
Okay, let's start with Johnny.
If you were to make your transition and pass away in a week, what would you focus on?
I would make sure my daughter I'm sorry, my voice isn't it's my daughter, right? Like, I just got to make sure that she's set up because, Donnie, we're supposed to make me cry this early in the morning. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, I would just make sure it's been a long journey and it's not going away. Like, this is who she is. And the writing's been on the wall for us for 3 years, but but we're in the thick of it, right? Like, I haven't even talked about it out on social media because a friend gave me some advice. If I start talking about it, I'm going to start going into expert mode, and I'm not an expert. I'm an expert in special education. I got you. In the mental health world, I'm not. And so, so if I was to pass away next week, I would really want to make sure that she's set up and, just, my husband, he and I are a team, and I don't know, I can't die next week. But how about that? Like, I would have a little conversation with the universe to say, you've got this wrong. It's not my time next week. That's what I would say. Because I'm that controlling, by the way. I don't know if you figured that out, but I'm that controlling. I would say,
a little bit.
yeah, a little bit, right? Like,
check that paperwork. Yeah.
You got to pass over me, like I am Jewish, so you're allowed to say that. Pass over me, find someone else. I'll come back in a month. I'm good because I have some things to do.
The second question that I have for you is, now assume it's 70 years before your passing and you're looking back over your life. What are the 3 things that you want to be known for?
I would want to be known that I was 100% there for my kids, that I took everything I learned and supported them being the best that they were supposed to be. I want to be known, not going to lie. I know it sounds very humble, but I want to be known as I want to be famous. I want to be famous, Debbie Sharp. She knew special education. She was an advocate for kids. I want to be famous like that. And I just want people, if they remember me, just to be like, that she was the kindest, nicest person, that she came from a good heart, right? That she always had kids involved, she saw kids for their abilities. That's what I would want to be known for.
Corey.
So first of all, Debbie, congratulations. And thank you for doing this work. It's super important work. So I love when people sort of put themselves out there and step up and take these charges. I just have 2 simple questions. The first one is, how many people have gone through your lead magnet? Do you know the data, the opt-in rate and things like that of the lead magnet?
Sort of. So the lead magnet was just created and launched, I want to say March. And there's been 45 emails that went back out. And then what the co-creator, her name is Jo, she and I did a webinar last week, a free webinar. So people that went through the lead magnet, we did 2 separate webinars, and that had, it was the same, it was basically a live conversation with the creators. Like you took this, this inventory, come and talked about, and had some dive deeper into it. So we had it 2 separate times to meet people at all time frames and time zones, excuse me. And one of the webinars was full of people from the Philippines because there's a strength-based school down there. So with that said, there's been about 40 people that have gone through it, 40 emails that have been sent back out. That's not exact because my assistant's been doing it. She takes them and runs it through. But then the 2 webinars had 12 on the first one and 20 on the next, 20, so, but they haven't turned into anything.
This is my 1.5 question. Is the intellectual property your intellectual property, or is it Joe's, or are you guys?
No. So we created the Learning Strengths as a common copyright. Am I saying that right? Common copyright, so that, because we want people to use it, but it's both of our intellectual property. So, but we're both, yeah, so we are both, and she's very clear, and we have it in writing, and my lawyer's like, are you sure? Even though like we're friends, you know what I mean? We have it in writing. This is your baby, like I'm the one that houses it. We have a third party website that we house it on because we just couldn't figure out the technology around doing an inventory like that. And so we house it on Habit Technologies. So I'm the one that pays that, the monthly. And she's like, I just want you to know this is your baby. But I have both of us on the website. We have both of us giving credit, so because she really is coming from strengths and I was coming from the learning styles, and that's what we combined. So I like giving it both of us credit.
Okay. And then my second question is, what are your price points for your paid offers in the consulting work that you do now?
Right.
What
so
are your funnels?
So, I worked with a friend, doing the ladder, a value ladder. So again, you guys, like I have to tell you, like I've learned all of this as a business. Like we're teachers, we don't get told what we're paid, So like coming from 7 years ago when I get started, and then it's morphed. And so I charge $150 an hour. And then someone said, don't charge by an hour because then you're, not giving quality work, you're just doing it. So I still have that 150 price mark, but what I do is I have a $500 package, if you will, for families that want me to help them behind the scenes. So I'll look at IEPs, I'll look at the files, I'll talk to them about it. I'll say, hey, you're talking about that there's your child struggling in writing, but I don't see any writing assessments here. And then I'll help them write that letter to get the writing assessment or that kind of thing. And then there's a $1,000 package. Basically, I help them with everything I just said, help them through. It gives them a pre-meeting. It gives them a post-IEP meeting. I get them ready for the meeting itself. I read all the files. I analyze it with them. I'm like, what are we missing? What do we need? I help the parents prepare. So I help them write their vision. The parents write their vision for their child. Those are the 2 price points. And then I guess there's 2 more on the ladder. There's the free ladder, right? Come join my Facebook group, come join to have that conversation, to, build that community. There's, and then there's the $29.95 one with my book. And then you would be added. And then the free also is the Learning Strengths. So there's, right, what else is in my free one, Kate? I'm thinking the Learning Strengths, the community, that's all in the free stuff. Oh, a 30-minute free consultation with me, which is also a discovery call. So, right, but if you just want to like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, am I the right thing, right person for you, or, are you the right person for me? And then there's that, like I said, the 500 point and the $1,000 point.
Okay, Let's move over to Richard.
As a function of your monthly living costs, how much profit does your business make every month as a percentage? So is it half of your living expenses? Is it double your living expenses? Is it a 1/10 of your living expenses? What, roughly?
I don't know how to answer that because I'm not very good in finances. This is like probably where my area of need, So the reason I say that is because my husband makes good money. And so when I started my company, it was because I wanted to. I didn't have to go back to the classroom. And so the goal of my business has always been just be in the black, just make money, right? And then the second goal was, hey, I could pay for all their activities, right? I could pay for all their dance and their baseball and their karate and all that. And then that worked. And then I pay for our vacation. So we've done some really nice vacations. And so, but mostly I have to say, like, my money goes back into my business, right? So I'm paying my book coach, or I'm paying, consultants, I'm paying my assistant now. So How much is actual profit? I'm not quite sure.
The second one is, what do you think is actually your biggest impediment from making it from where you are today to being that $1 million business? What do you think is the biggest thing in your way?
Instead of saying, I feel like I'm missing something, I want to say, what more can I do? So that's
well,
what more can I do?
The impediment for people is very often too much of something.
Right. So
it's not
what more can I
necessarily a
do?
scarcity.
Yeah. So I'm, as you can probably see, like I'm very creative, and I can like get, and I'll do the work, and I can do all this stuff, but I don't know what to do next in order to move towards that $1 million business, because I only have so much time. Right. And so, like, truthfully, my book coach I have had my content, and I'm supposed to be editing it since April 15th. And I just don't have time to sit down and do it. Right. Because I've gotten 5 new clients who's learning now. So yay for that. Like, right. So that's been awesome and so then of course they come first, and then, oh wait, my daughter, and so she comes first. And so now there's a lot of first. And so I'm holding, I'm holding a lot of plates in the air, a lot of balls juggling.
Normally there's one thing that sticks out in someone's mind as being the thing that is most in their way more than anything else. There's usually one thing. You're not aware of what that one thing is. Or
the only thing that comes to mind when you talk is that I don't have time.
Right.
That's literally what keeps screaming in my head. I don't have time, you know.
Okay,
so
that's the thing then.
Yeah, if I had 30 leads tomorrow, I have 5 files I'm supposed to be reading also by yesterday. So time.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that it, Richard?
Yes.
Okay, great. Christy.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Christy.
Can I just say, wow.
Oh.
Wow. That's a whole lot of energy. There's a whole lot that you're just trying to break through and anchor in to this for us. So can you tell me about so where did this come from? Where did this need? How did it develop? Tell me about the time when you realized that this needed to be done, and you had that Shazam moment, started putting the idea together in your head. So when did that happen? What part of your life? What triggered that?
There's lots of different points, and my mind literally just went bing, 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 you know. So I was in grad school a very long time ago, people. It wasn't electronic grad school. So I remember one of my professors had us, it was like 1992, and one of my professors had us, one of their homework assignments was to read parenting magazines, or actually didn't have to be parenting, read magazines that interested you and create folders and resources, right? So at the end of the semester, I had this big, giant 6-inch binder, not the 3-ring binder, a 6-inch binder that had all these tabs. It was very pretty because I'm organized and color coded, and it had parenting advice on speech and language, parenting advice on how to get your kid to roll over, you know what I mean? Gross motor skills, how to play at the playground nicely, things just like that. And I kept saying to myself, why am I collecting all these articles? I should be writing that. Like, and then, so I can tell you where I was sitting in my grad school apartment thinking this, why am I collecting other people's? One day I'm going to be an editor. One day I'm an editor. I don't know what the title was, but I just said, one day people are going to ask me for my advice. I'm going to be the one that people ask about. Then when I was that teacher, like I said, I stayed till 8 o'clock at night, and I would stay with parents and I would just walk them through the process because I didn't have kids and I could do that. And I wasn't even married, to be quite honest. So I had nobody, not even a dog to come home to, right? So like, and then when we moved to Massachusetts, and then my son was born right before that, I remember I got to be a stay-at-home mom with my son. And so I had a 3-year-old running around and my son, and I was trying to apply all my teaching strategies to them, and they weren't listening to me because I was mom, and play all these games. But and I would go to the park with them, and all these ideas would, like, I'm just going to write an article. And so I started writing a blog then about like 10 things you could do at the playground to promote learning. And then and just like I would my kids would had like their Matchbox cars, and I'd have little Legos, and we'd build and houses and things. And my friends would come over, and I had sight words, reading sight words in there. And my friends were like, how do you know how to do that? I'm like, this is what I do, right? So they're like, so I put that in the blog. And so anyway, that's kind of how it started too, all these ideas. And then definitely when I moved to Massachusetts, I was like, I would be at the soccer field, and my friends were like, oh, I have an IEP. Can you look at it? Like, you're not working right now. Can you? So I would. And then that's when I was like, you know what, I can. And so my son was getting ready to go to kindergarten. And so I was like, okay, I'll be a grown up. I'll be the mature one and look at my credentials and because all my credentials are California. So what does Massachusetts need for my teaching credentials? And that's when my husband said, or you could start a business. And I'm like, what kind of business? Like, who does that? And he goes, you can be an advocate. And I'm like, oh no, advocates are mean. I'm not mean. I'm nice. I'm a nice person. And so he said, well, be different, like be positive and collaborative and be you. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So I tried that and it worked.
So here's this very interesting question. And
Okay.
I want you to try not to think too hard, just to let
right.
the answer roll out. So if this business, this was a child, would this be a child of your mind or a child of your heart?
Oh, it's a heart for sure. And I can say that with confidence because I actually wanted a third baby. And I gave birth to my son at 40. And my husband's like, I don't know if we should do that. Like, you know what I mean? Just being realistic. Yeah. And so, and then so, as you know, my whole journey, I just told you, right? So it wasn't until 5, my son was 5 when I actually birthed this, but it's this business is my heart for sure. It's my third baby.
So we're going to move you to the waiting room now, and we're going to deliberate, and I will bring you back in about 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll be here.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Debbie. I'm just going to mostly type and then help shape it. So just go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
All right. So the first thing is she's balancing million and mom.
Yeah.
And my sense was that there was a little bit of guilt in there of like, oh man, I have to be a mom right now when I really want to focus on my millions. So I think part of the internal work for her to do in the next 30 days is spending a little time looking at the guilt. Even if it's just making a checklist of, okay, I feel guilty about these things. Just so she can get them out of her head to make space for the other stuff. The other piece is when I asked her about her legacy, she talked about mom being an advocate for kids and being a kind person. So she definitely wants to share and give, but she might be doing it in some of the wrong areas. And so one of the paces, I'm thinking, you're trying to get the school district to pay you money. Like, can she begin making a list of other potential groups or associations where she could go to say, hey, I want to be a speaker. Hey, here's my area of expertise, rather than focusing only on the school districts, because I feel like that's going to take a lot of energy and work, whereas there might be other outlets for her to begin building her speaking muscle.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that. I mean, she could get more than what she's getting paid to give a talk to any of the millions of families around the world who are grappling with exactly these issues. So maybe that kind of needs to be the model, because she's got to introduce some scalability here somehow.
Oh, this would be longer than 30 days, but it's for something for her to at least think about over the next 30 days is looking at her packaging, because I don't think she's charging enough for the transformation that she's providing for the families that she's working with.
It kind of seems to me she's trying to streamline a whole lot, and in doing that, she's cutting a lot of good, juicy bits away because of time or whatever it is. And I know that this is, she says, a child of her heart, but there's so much intellect here that I think sometimes that heart's getting missed. So when her logic kind of seems to fail her, where does she fall back on? She needs to fall back into that heart place. And once again, like you guys said, I think she's too narrow where she's trying to sell this at, just like school districts and so on. She needs to go big, way bigger.
Yeah, I mean, families literally everywhere are struggling with this.
Has she, I forget, it may be called Parenting Magazine, but has she looked at Parenting Magazine as a potential outlet for her to do some writing?
And I would imagine there'd be Facebook groups in every country for families who are kind of grappling with these kinds of issues. There's a bunch of stuff she could be marketing there.
So one of the things that she talked about was wanting to get her she wants to be enough of a recognized, she doesn't like the word expert, but a recognized thought leader or advisor or something that she can get her price points up. So I think there's a couple ways that she can do that. The first one is that she needs to create a proprietary Debbie Sharp method that people will recognize in the marketplace as sort of proprietary to her. And then from that, she can create all kinds of things. She can license it. She can, but the proprietary Debbie Sharp method is the first thing. The other thing is, I wonder what would happen if she just created a speaker one sheet or a speaking packet and just put $3,000 on it. And when she gets asked to speak, she could just say, sure, I'll send you my rates. And if they can't do it, they can't do it. I agree with everyone else, though, that the school districts may not be the right place. Also, school districts tend to have what they consider to be experts in this area anyway, sort of in-house and in the system. So they may not feel a need to go outside of the system. But for example, there are plenty of companies and corporations who have employees that might be great clients for her. And it might be something the companies want to invest in if they feel like this is something that's taking up a lot of their employees' brain space and maybe time. So they might bring her in to speak to their employees. There's associations, there's all kinds of people that can give her access directly to people who would actually hire her, like the families. Because I agree with what everyone else is saying, that there are tons of families dealing with this who have tremendous resources to put behind this problem. Her prices are definitely too low. But a couple of other things. This report that she's created, this inventory that she's created, I think that this could be a real moneymaker for her if she sold, for example, a report after, people take the assessment, they get the result, and then she could sell something after. And this is sort of a low cost way to get into her community. She could even sell the test. And I know that she wants to put it in the hands of, boys and girls everywhere kind of thing. But I think there's real that assessment could be a huge moneymaker for her. I put some pricing around it. The other thing, I think she's perfect for a podcast. I think she has a lot of words. She likes using them. She likes being oral. I think a podcast where she's doing affiliate income. She talked about different toys and games that she helps people figure out how to use to help their kids. She could do affiliate links from her podcast. And
so really what it comes down to is she's got to find a way to multiply herself.
Yeah.
Right. So
it sounds like she did a great job of finding a VA. I mean, she should sell that process. Her VA is that good. People will pay her to teach them.
Well.
Oh, are you the VA?
just being able to sell more isn't going to cut it, because she can't fulfill more. So that's just going to kill her.
So yeah, the
Debbie Sharp
free,
method.
the free
I
hours.
absolutely love that idea, and I can see that, written on a landing page with buy a course here button. I can totally visualize that.
You can also put the method quickly in a lead magnet and just sort of tease the method.
The question that came up when she was talking about her book and not finishing, it was like, okay, what's there in the piece? Because if we have her write more, is she going to come up against the same stuff that she came up against in writing the book of, okay, it gets done, but now that I'm getting close to the end, it just doesn't get completed. And so I definitely think there's value in her documenting her method and turning it into something, but I think there's something that she needs to do on the either the mindset side or the nervous system side around, okay, what do I need to get from almost done to done? So that just becomes a way of working.
She needs to try to put down something that she can allow someone else to handle for her, to be her for that moment. I kind of get the feeling that maybe this last night might have dealt with her daughter coming up out of nowhere. Kinda. It's very strange how to say that she needs to tighten up some of the things down here that she's offering, but then to offer that to a bigger group of people.
So
How
so
else you-
if she can make her offering more scalable, so in like, you know, selling online courses or things like that about the Debbie Sharp method, then she can get more VAs involved and salespeople involved, and her business will start making a hell of a lot more money than it is right now, and potentially take a lot less of her time.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to share this screen with you. These are really great tidbits. So these are just random ideas through here. I've just organized everything, and then at the bottom, put the additional ideas. You can shape this later. How does that look? Do you want to add anything else? Because we've got to bring it back in. Welcome back. We took our time. We took our time a little bit. That was more than 10 minutes.
That's okay.
And this is recorded, and I have typed it into a document, so you don't have to take any notes. You can just absorb. And we're gonna go quite quickly.
Because you know I'm a visual learner, so I need to
Yes,
have it.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So let's go ahead and open this document. Okay. So just so Debbie, I'm going to give you a lot of detail later, so I'm going to send this off to you. But let's cover the ideas that they've come up with today. So a couple of things that we've identified are, like, time was such a substantial conversation today. So the first thought here is training people to do the intakes for you, and imagining for you to scale, you know, in like, is that a piece of your business? Don't answer that right now, but just imagining that somebody will be qualified, that you could train and equip to do that first touch point with families that would help you even know if you can work with them. So reclaim that time. Secondly, because there are so many parenting groups, it doesn't sound like, with only 45 leads coming through that test, you haven't even launched this beautiful assessment that you've made. Like, that's not, that's like a pre-launch. That was just like, hello. And so if we imagine like an organic Facebook group marketing, parents around the world need what you're doing. Like, already you're already in the Philippines, like right out the gate. And so imagining, and because Strengths is worldwide, that you have potential to do a worldwide audience really quickly. So imagining, you know, stretching out of the box in those Facebook groups. Corey sees a $25,000 private family offer. There are families that would pay that to have it. Just like raise the ceiling. Also, a membership offer. Right. Thinking of value, not the money and the time. The value that brings is worth it. It's worth it to these families. It's their child's future. Also, a membership offer that would be $200 to $500. You have so much available and so much that you can provide. It's quite possible that people would pay a membership to participate in that at those rates, much higher than what you're currently doing. She also saw a $4,000 offer for a one-off. Again, value being there. We talked about balancing this idea of the $1 million business and parenting. And so there's some mindsets and some things above that you'll be able to look at to kind of support you in that journey for the next 30 days and beyond. Donnie mentioned raising your mission and articulating it in a way of like, I'm on a mission to serve 1 million families. So like instead of I'm on a mission to serve in my county or in Eastern Massachusetts, but like imagining, like even in your language, broadening out 1 million families and start holding the bigness of that. It's going to
Okay.
open up a lot of other possibilities. Holding the bigness beyond that area, that school district, that one family, so that that's going to shift your mindset into what would actually be scalable. And exploring scalability brings up all the stuff, right? It brings up all the things. Like, we have to deal in reality of time and not imagination. And so
Yeah.
like, I'm imagining this is $1 million
Scalability makes
business.
the million possible, Debbie. Yeah.
So tell me more
makes
what,
the million a
tell me
thing.
what you say, when you say that, those are business buzzwords and I don't understand. What does that mean?
Just
Scalability.
basically, yeah, scalability, just your ability to multiply yourself without actually applying extra personal effort, right? So
Yeah.
for you to be able to deliver value at scale, without busting your head open with trying to figure out your time.
Yeah, right. Okay, so and in this, that's what I'm doing. Like, that, what you're saying, I connect with. Like, yes, that's exactly what I need, but I don't know how to do that. So that's what these steps are to do.
That's right.
Okay.
And lastly, love collaboration, love the partnership for the assessments, so you could have something high quality and 4 steps above good housekeeping. But you are the Debbie Sharp method, and it needs its own page. Everybody agreed on this, and Corey sort of spearheaded this conversation of, like, that means it's Debbie. Yes, Who's Learning Now is how you serve in some of those ways, but the Debbie Sharp method, its own page, a lead magnet, and selling services from that. So it needs to have its own nut. And then the online courses and all of those things, getting more VAs, a sales funnel, salespeople, so that they can sell something that you don't have to be present for, and you can serve 1 million families. And so making that the priority as you're starting to shape things out. And I think as you're finishing your book, the Debbie Sharp method is within that book to some level, but
Yeah.
it's the gateway to this. So just the book in itself is going to invite people back into Debbie. Debbie doesn't have time. So Debbie needs to quickly create something. You don't have to do it in 30 days necessarily, but what the offer from that book can't be more time with Debbie. It's going to have to be something else that Debbie doesn't have to be there for.
Sure.
I'm going to ask our panel, any closing words, just a brief word for Debbie as we wrap up here today.
I just got a visual of you sitting on a chair next to Oprah on Super Soul Sunday talking about the Debbie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Christy.
One little thing on this momming the world. I wrote that down there. Debbie Sharp is the mom to the world. You need to forgive yourself a little bit. So on a personal note, with things that happened, I think I might know what might have been some business last night. That's when I started getting some impressions and some energy about it. And take a minute, forgive yourself too.
See, Christina, you made me cry, but that's
I'm so very
where
sorry. I'm hugging you so hard right now.
here I am, an expert in the field, supporting other families and other children, and I can't fix my own baby, right? And I can't. I know that cognitively I cannot fix her. It has to be her doing the hard work. But how can I sit next and do nothing? And it's really hard, you know.
We have to move it along just a little bit to wrap up because we're over time. And so as we close here, just closing words for Donnie, Corey, and Richard. Or Donnie, I think you have said probably what you need to say. So Corey and Richard, if you could wrap.
Yeah, so Debbie, I think you already know, and we certainly recognize in this setting that audio, people need to literally hear your voice, and being on stage is not the only way. You can do an audio lead magnet, you can do a radio show, you can do a podcast, but people need to hear your voice. We hear you talking about your story, but I'm envisioning that when you're talking about your area of expertise, that you are sharp as all get out, but it's going to be audio.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I don't think I could possibly add any more to what we've done here today, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how your journey unfolds. And I hope that you can really take something of value from what we've said here today. Yeah, no, I just want to thank you for everybody here. I'm
in awe of this panel because you all come, like, I just see this circle with everybody's has a spoke in it, you know, like literally like an IEP team, you know, like everybody has an expertise, and you all brought like the empathy, you know, the execution, you know what I mean? The business words that I don't even know. And, you know, just all these, and you heard me and I feel validated. And so thank you for all your insight. And that's pretty amazing. I'm going to say it's a gift, Kate, that you have this too, that you could talk to me even just in an hour and really get at my soul like this. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to
Thanks
have
for
you
coming,
today,
Debbie.
Debbie.
And here I go,
Wonderful.
right? So watch me now.
Yeah. Have a
right,
great day,
thank you,
everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you, everybody.
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.